Hello, and welcome to Rallying the Forge. I'm your host, Sol. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Rallying the Forge. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about Tempys Set 4, Shadows Over Solis creatures. We're going to go through some of the best cards in Tempys. So we'll have a couple Darkforged. We'll have our maybe like a top 5 of the non-Darkforged creatures. We'll have one of my, I won't say it's the best, but I'll say it's a favorite of mine for as far as forged creatures go. We'll have a bonus forged creature, and we'll have one card that I think the design on, while well-intended, didn't really pan out. And we'll go through all these cards here shortly. But before I jump into that, you can see on the screen, Tooth and Claw is here. So you can get special dino packs in the store. You get a booster for 200 to get 2 Utera, 2 Tempest decks. And they have tons of dino synergy. You can get a base set 1 through 4 deck, and then it's going to have a bunch of dinos in there. I've seen anywhere from 2 to 7, I think was my highest I've seen. But typically there's a lot of synergy. They have bonus spells. They have new legendary creatures, new spells as well that are going to be only in these boosters. So get them while you can. We don't know how long it'll be here for. They did have some deals for cosmetics. You can get a playmat, which looks really good in game, and emote. Get a raw Tyrant raw emote. So yeah, you can get it now, and we don't know how long it's going to last for. So it could be a limited time thing. Get them while you can. There have been some really interesting, strong decks that come out. You can get a Rex and Patriarch in the same deck now. Couldn't do that before, other than a Betrayer and pairing 2 decks together in that nature. But yeah, I didn't get anything great in all my decks that I opened, but some people have gotten some really, really cool things. So I think it's worth to dig in a little bit if you're a spender. I don't know if I'd break the bank on this one, but definitely worth taking a look if you like dinos. But a lot of fun, a lot of cool cards in there as well. The new spells are pretty cool. They covered that in their news articles and whatnot. We may follow up with something about Tooth and Claw in the coming weeks as we see more of what comes out from it and whatnot. But anyhow, that's live. Let's jump into Set 4, Shadows Over Solis, Tempest creatures. Starting off, I don't have this card yet, but I want one. So the Cataclysm Omni is really, really awesome as far as I've seen when people have played with it. So Omnis, of course, come with a matching spell that readies them. So in this case, Cataclysm Omni comes with the Darkforged loyalty automatically, which is really cool. And if you pair it with another deck with Darkforged loyalty, that's just additional readying for the Cataclysm Omni. So the card itself, basic stats, not super, overpowered or anything, but it has an activate. And the level 1, just pumping creatures up, not huge. But the level 2 starts giving aggressive. The level 3, aggressive and breakthrough. And with the untapping going on, you can really pump some things up and give a bunch of stuff breakthroughs. So this card is really awesome. Can be a win condition on its own by giving creatures aggressive and breakthrough. Really, really strong in my opinion. I think it's the best Darkforged card in the set. It's a legendary. It's hard to come by. I don't have one yet. I'm hoping when Set 4 goes to print from the Game Found thing that I'll get one in physical. I'd like to have one physical. I have all the other Omnis physically, so it'd be kind of cool to have this new one as well. Plus that I'd be able to load it to my account and have it as well. So, this card, see here. Yeah, I just think the stats are fine on it. It's not exactly super weak, but it's not super strong for where set 4 stuff is. But if you get that out there, that can become a problem, especially if your opponent doesn't deal with it. So not much else to say. Of course, love the Omni art on all the Omni cards. They're always really cool. So that's my top pick there for that. And my next pick is going to be Blightmane Dragon. So Blightmane Dragon, the level 1 sucks. That's a pain to get through. You have to find a way around that or hard play it, unfortunately. But once you get the level 2 and 3 going, they are really awesome. I've seen some really, really unique uses with them. So obviously, start with the level 2. Deploy if a player lost health, blast 5 in this lane and an adjacent lane. That's really nice. They can clear some threats out or just deal face damage to your opponent. And the level 3, of course, is blast 5 in each lane. That's awesome, depending on what other types of things you have paired with it. There's also, depending on what abilities your Forgeborn has, they have stuff to reanimate Darkforged creatures. Depending on what cycle you get that at, if you play this during that, you somehow lose this, you can reanimate it. It comes out, blast 5 again, or you remove it yourself and blast 5 again when you bring it back. So there's a lot of little shenanigans you can do with this card. I think it's super strong when you don't necessarily want to build a deck around this, but when you have this in the toolbox, it can be such a great card to really swing things in your favor. There are a lot of uses with this, I feel like, and I really, really like this card. I've always liked Scorchmane Dragon. Hated the level 1. It's such a, behind curve play, but always enjoyed the level 2 and 3, and this card is just awesome. So, yeah. So I got Blightmane Dragon. You could argue for the Thundersoar, perhaps, or even some of the other cards, the Herald. They got some really good Darkforged creatures in Tempys, but these two, and this one in particular, I feel like, you have Cataclysm Omni at the top, and then everything else is kind of bunched together, and you could pick one out of a hat for the most part, except for the Undeady, who I'm not a fan of, but you could pick anyone. I picked this one. So then we're going to get to the top 5. We'll call it top 5 cards in Tempys that are not Darkforged. And this will be alphabetical as best I can remember to do it. So the first card going to be Glacier. The Abominable version gives him the highest health, and I've seen, so with a card like him, he's not the guy who's going to be pounding down your opponent or their creatures with his attack. That's not his purpose. His purpose is the mobility and his effect with when creatures move lanes. I recently played Billy Bad Aim's Glacier deck, and it is so hard to beat. He's got a Stoic Glacier, which has got the second highest health totals across all 3 levels. Abominable is the highest. And this card, you've got to get it off the board immediately when it's on the board. If you let it sit there and they go to the next cycle and they get the next level out, it's basically game over for you, honestly. It's really, really hard to beat it if you don't answer it and take care of it. And in some decks, if they don't have ways to protect the Glacier, or they don't have an Abominable Glacier and it's a lower health, it's a lot easier to get rid of. These ones are super hard to get rid of with their high health. And on deploy, they can make it Defender, so maybe you're not going to be able to get to it. It's going to delay everything by an additional turn unless you've got removal. So these decks are really interesting. They bring mobility back as I don't want to, it's an archetype, I guess, but it really is centered around Glacier. Without Glacier, those decks are not powerhouses. So bottom 5 in Glacier can really kill one of these decks. Similar to how Nova decks, if they don't draw their Nova, they're not quite the powerhouse they are. So this is another card like that where they need to see it if they want to have a chance to win, in my opinion. At least from what I've seen so far. There could come a time when, a deck's strong enough without the Glacier, and the Glacier's just icing on the cake. But, I thought I'd show this version of Glacier. It's got the highest health. This is super hard to get rid of without hard removal. Definitely a card. I don't want to face it. It's really frustrating. I do not like deck archetypes where the player who's playing it doesn't rely on anything their opponent does. They just need to play their cards and they get all their stuff going off. Those decks are some of the hardest to beat, in my opinion, because there's nothing you can do. You can only react after the fact. So that was the first one. The next one, I think, is definitely high up on a lot of people's list. We have Eric's the Stormweaver, and he doesn't have great stats or health. He's got okay, but he can be easily gotten rid of in combat. But when you play him, if you're playing him with a spell slinging type deck, you can get lots of free spells off of him, and you can see his activate once per turn. So that's really nice for decks that want spells. He's definitely a fun card, in my opinion. He pairs well with another card we're going to be showing here shortly. Not much else to say about him. So after that, let me see here alphabetically. We have Kaz Arcweaver. So some people may like him, may not. If you have a good augment deck, or you pair it with a good augment deck, whatever the situation may be, obviously you need augments for him to be strong and useful. He's got decent health lines, he's not below average at any point. He's just there pretty much at average, but you attach augments to him, he gets more attack. He's an aggressive creature, so playing him off Forge can be really, really good. If you have things that can attach after you've played him, when you're off Forge, you can play it as your second action, maybe open lane it, and then pump him and potentially other creatures. It can be really good. I haven't played a whole lot with him. I did play a couple matches with him at some point, and I was able to get the level 3 with augments on, and it was pretty nuts. So I think this card has a lot of exploring left to be done for it. He also is a warrior mage, so there's some synergies there that could be used with him. So I don't think he's been fully fleshed out. I think has potential to be a really, really strong card. And I like the aggressive aspect, especially off Forge. It can be a game winner for you if done right and have the right things going on. But really like Kaz. This could be of the 5 cards, the 5th card maybe. There could be a different card people might want to pop in there, but I think he's one of the better cards. That's my opinion, though. The 4th card we're going to go through here is going to be a Yeti. We have Snowfur, and he's a nice big body. Obviously, the 0 attack's worrisome. He's a defender, so there's some things to target him with in that regard. But at the end of every turn, he blasts 3, 5, and 10, and that can be just a nuisance. If you're trying to put something across from him, you can't just put your defender across from him because he's going to slowly kill it. And there's things people can do with Yetis depending on the deck that make this dangerous, of course, in other ways. But the blasting every turn is really, really something you have to get a handle on. Early on, it's not so bad. The level 2 is also tolerable for maybe a turn or two. The level 3, that's going to kill you quickly, or your creatures across from it. And 32 damage is not easy to come by. So you really got to find ways to get it removed quickly and not let it get to the point where they're dropping that down on you and blasting you for 10 every turn. Not many decks can handle that and just be fine with letting it go off every turn. So this card I've seen a lot of people like to play it. I think it's a strong card. I think it's a really good card. It's never a problem to see this in a deck. So that is the fourth card we have. And the fifth, but not least of all, we have Volteris. This card is definitely one of the best cards in the set. So it's a defender, weak stats, of course. It's not meant to be anything special in that regard. But what it does is when you play a spell, you play up to a spell sprite minion. Level 3 plays a spell swarm minion, and it gets plus attack as if it was on the board when you played the spell. But every time you play a spell, you get one. So you can fill your board up with minions quickly. If you're playing a spell slinger or you have things like Eric's, which I talked about, this is the card he probably would want with it. And you're playing free spells, extra creatures. Of course, these get more attack from more spells, so it's all synergistic. It can be a problem depending on the deck types that people are playing against it, but you need to get rid of this card so he doesn't keep refilling their board up. That's basically how it's going to work. And then when they're playing spells, those spells have stronger effects because they're not putting typically a creature on the board. They could be, but they're pumping up other things, give them now extra abilities, and it can become a problem quick. It just snowballs. I've seen a lot of good decks with this card. I don't know that we've seen it in a super high competitive deck yet that's done well in any events. But I think this card definitely has potential. Maybe it's just a matter of finding the right pairing. But I think this card's super, super good. And this card could be arguably the best card in the set. Some people may prefer Glacier. Some people don't like Glacier style, so they won't play Glacier. So that's my top 5. I normally don't include forged creatures in this, but Glacier is such a good card, I had to do that. I didn't want it to be my best forged creature. Even though it is the best forged creature, I instead picked a favorite of mine, and that is the Hammer Bearer. And this version is the Marching, but and that's just because it gives him the best attack across the 3 levels. It's not the highest at each level. No, the level 1 is the highest. But if you're playing him, I love him because he's aggressive and breakthrough. You can use that in a lot of different ways. I love having it obviously off Forge, but the level 1 with 8 attack, popping that through and hitting your opponent in the mouth real quick for 8 is really nice. The level 2, again, it's a good damage across all 3. If you're getting to the level 3 and you still haven't beat your opponent, your deck's not aggressive enough, and that's not necessarily the strategy your deck's probably taking. But I just really like the Hammer Bearer. I love the aggressive breakthrough. I think it's such a powerful card to have, especially off Forge. And even if you didn't play the level 1 until level 3, 8 attack's still pretty good at that point. I get it's not 20 damage, but sneaking something through is really nice. There are some different modifiers that you can have with him to give more attack at the higher levels, but I think Marching in this case works well. I'm not a big fan of many of the Tempys forge keywords or whatnot. I think Marching might be the best for them, as they are generally, I don't want to say aggro-centric, but they're meant to be played faster or whatnot. So I just think Marching might be the best. I looked through them. I really didn't care for any of the other ones. They have Vitalized, but that's only if you're on Forge. It's such that honestly could have been my miss that they had, but I didn't do it by a keyword. I picked a card instead. But so Marching Hammer Bearer, I definitely really, really love this card. As I said, the best Forge creature is going to be the Glacier in various styles, but this one is one of my favorites to have in a deck and play. It's a really nice, aggressive style, and a lot of things you could do with the breakthrough. You can kill stuff and get some damage through if you want to. So, really, really like this card. I'm going to show the card. I think they screwed up the design, or a better way to put it, really, they didn't really screw up the design. It's just a design that's well intended that really didn't pan out, and it's really disappointing. It's Pyrax. So Pyrax, everyone, when we first saw this card, myself included, thought this is going to be amazing. This is going to be the death of life gain decks, and it's not even close. Its stats look, at least level 3 looks solid. Level 1 and 2 are, for the newer cards, are kind of weak in comparison. For the previous sets, they're on par in my opinion. But this card, I haven't seen a situation where I'm like, I need to play this card. Maybe I just haven't played it against enough life gain decks to be like, this needs to be out there, or I always feel like it just gets removed. They take care of it before they go off and gain all their life. This thing's off the board. I haven't tried decks where you're constantly bringing it back with like River of Souls or Dire Hounds or something like that, where this card is stuck on the board. But it just has not worked out, and I just don't know why. I guess because you can remove it from the board. That's, it can be removed, and then it's not an issue anymore. And most decks don't have a ton of reanimation where you're bringing this back when you have probably other strong cards. There's other cards that are way stronger than this card that people are going to want to bring back for the most part, from what I can tell. I just know this card just did not pan out. It's unfortunate because I really like the card. I really loved the design. I'm almost thinking, like, now I know they only did one Exalt for set 4, which was a horrible card. But if this was an Exalt instead, it'd be much more impactful. It would be a must-have in every Tempest set 4 deck that has it. Maybe don't make it as strong as it is, at least at the level 3 there. But maybe, I don't know. Like, if this was an Exalt, it would have much more. It would have more sticking power. It would give them a need, even though there are other Exalts that there's a need to remove, and there's not many ways. What is it, just Breakwood to remove Exalts? It would give them a reason to have cards that can remove Exalts easier, or have that capability if you as a utility type card, like on the off chance they have this. I think this just misses the mark. It doesn't impact the game how people think. Like, you see it in a deck now, and it's like, that's a support card. It's as needed. Otherwise, you're probably not going to play it. Your deck's trying to do something else, and you're going to play cards that lean towards those other win conditions. This is not a card you can build around, where it's so strong that this is how you're going to win your match every time. So it's just kind of a bonus card in a deck, honestly, and I don't feel like it sees much play. It doesn't do much. So it's kind of disappointing. And then as a bonus, this one's I feel like is a fan favorite. We've got the Blast and Flame Blade, of course. And what else to say about that? I guess we'll go to our good friend Danny DeVito.
My gun.
Oh.
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
Bang! Well, I don't see so good, so I missed. Then they ran away. I ran after them.
Okay.
Bang! Try to shoot him in the back. But I don't run so good either. Anyway.
All right. So.
Here, the top hematology.
We don't want commercials. Thank you. All right. So that was Danny DeVito giving us his best blast in there. This card, I think everyone loves, the Blast and Flame Blade. I recently had a match against this where my opponent had hand 2 on the board with it, and they had, I think, the level 1 and level 2 on the board. And of course, I was low, getting low on health, and I was able to remove both of them. Of course, I wasn't thinking with the hand 2 triggers. I couldn't. He'd gotten me down low enough that I couldn't keep them off the board. They had to come back. Well, I was going to block. I blocked them to kill them, but then they were going to come back, and I had to not die from the damage. So I had to play my creatures in a way and so they could eat the blast damage as well, which they couldn't eat. They only had 3 health afterwards, so they come back. They both died. I ate 3 damage out of my 5 left. And I lost the match, but it was really, really cool to see just how impactful this can be when they come back on the board, in those types of situations. But it's really, really neat card. I think everyone loves this card just because of the Danny DeVito thing. But, yeah, so this is my... where'd the game go? There it is. This is my review of Set 4 Tempys on which cards I think are some of the best and strongest. I did have some there, of course, that the Hammer Bearer I just like, and the Blast and Flame Blade. So feel free to comment, give me your thoughts on if I missed a card. Is there a card that they messed up on the design more than Pyrax, or that didn't have the impact that they thought it would have? Let me know. I love hearing what everyone else thinks. So that's going to do it for this episode. Our next review will be of Necrium. That'll be our last Set 4 review that we have to do. That'll probably be within the coming weeks, I guess. We'll probably touch on Tooth and Claw soon, and we'll catch up on what's going on in the communities in a little bit as well. So we got a lot of stuff coming, and I look forward to putting that content out for you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. I'll see you guys around. Take care. This has been an episode of Rallying the Forge. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.